Once again, I walk in on Justin sucking and munching on thick meats. This isn't the first time this has happened, perhaps the first recorded on pod. But I want whatever crazy bastard ends up watching this to know that I've walked in on him doing this many times. I've just never recorded it. And now that we're getting it out in the air, tell us about the time that you saw Nick's balls.
Oh my God. I don't know if the people need to know about that.
No, so
you know what? It's Nick's fault because he started it.
Nick started it.
He absolutely started it.
Let's be real, no one's listening. So let's just get it unfiltered and uncut. Was it uncut?
Shit, I don't remember.
Or don't play dumb.
No, I genuinely don't remember.
This is Nick's punishment for not joining us or answering any of our texts. If he would have,
it was tiny. I don't remember it was uncut. Big old set of balls. Impressive, like an impressive set of balls.
Like, how would you describe them and their size other than just big?
Like, what's a fruit? Like little tangerines.
Like cuties.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
dude, that's
two oranges hanging in a sack. Two cuties.
That's pretty good size. Just imagine those in the mesh bag. Two cuties. That's a pretty nice rack.
Yeah, Nick is a virulent man. One day he's gonna have like 30 children.
Oh, okay. Do you think that's why he's abstaining right now? Because he doesn't want to impregnate everyone?
That's probably it.
Well,
he literally has like Genghis Khan potential. He could populate the next generation of the planet.
He looks like he's a descendant of Genghis Khan. So it makes sense.
Or Michael B. Jordan. I just heard a thing about Michael B. Jordan. Speaking of people who have a lot of kids, he's got like 30 fucking kids, and that's like his thing. Is he just like knocks everyone up because he wants to. I think he also has Genghis Khan like ambitions.
That doesn't surprise me. That guy definitely fucks. I worry. He looks like a clean guy, so let's hope for his sake. But there's no doubt that guy fucks. So,
that motherfucker. Yeah, don't let me not start acting like a flaming thirsty queer on the podcast. But like, he could absolutely get it like 6 ways to Sunday.
He's the type of guy where if he came over for a beer and to watch UFC, I would end up fucking him. Like I couldn't tell you why, but I would just end up sucking his dick.
I mean, to not would be like, it's like getting the chance to suck the dick of like a Greek god. I mean, you got to do it.
No, I think it's kind of like when you meet the president, whether you voted for him or not, you gotta say hello to the Mr. President.
That's a tough. You know what? That one's tough. I don't know if Biden could get it.
I feel like Biden, I would do it, but I feel like his hands would be cold.
Oh, yeah, they are. Oh.
Yeah.
And probably rough. Oh.
Yeah. In other news, I saw him make a TikTok with the Jonas Brothers.
Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he was like this, and the TikTok was like the Jonas Brothers like doing TikTok trends, and at the end he goes like this, and he goes, "I think we got it, guys."
Oh Christ. Actually, you know what? I think I might have seen that thing too. Did the one with AIDS die yet?
With AIDS? Which one has AIDS?
Yeah, one of them had AIDS.
Which one has AIDS?
I should say has. You don't get rid of it.
Which one? But I assume they're alive. Which one has it? Not had.
Oh, fuck if I know. They're like, to me, they're like, isn't there 3 of them?
There's 4. There's a forgotten one named Preston, 4? I think.
Oh, not Preston. That's why he's forgotten.
It says one of them has diabetes.
Oh, it's not AIDS.
Yeah, you confused you confuse diseases that were invented to take out the black population.
Yeah, with the one that was invented to take out the gays, it's a tough one.
Yeah, you confused your diseases, but yeah.
Did Fauci invent diabetes too?
That I don't know. If
I have
if
a
he had
feeling.
diabetes, I don't think it's from being fat. I think he genetically had it because he just looks like a weak old man, you know?
No, I asked if he invented it because he invented AIDS.
Oh, was
With
he involved in that?
yeah, he like I think it was gain of function. He made the AIDS virus. That's a joke, but he did kind of sort of like because he was like in power, I guess if you want to call it power during the AIDS epidemic, and he was like notably cited for basically letting a bunch of gay people just die and then like pushing a drug that didn't actually help.
Yeah. Does he is Fauci looks like a sexless troll. So do you think he had something against gays or he just didn't care anyway?
I think his he's one of those people who are like there is no moral compass unless it points towards money. That's the impression that I get at least. Which, I can respect it at least. At least there's a consistency there. His moral compass has always been oriented towards money ever since all the way through the AIDS crisis, all the way through COVID. It's all about the mun. Which they were talking about like a few months ago. I remember they were talking about, there were whispers, I guess, from like the Democratic side that they were going to be getting rid of him. And he never got rid of. So that motherfucker, I don't know what he did behind the scenes, but he must have like, I don't know, bro. He had a threat. He's got COVID too, like in his back pocket. And he's like, you get rid of me, bitch. It's on. You thought the last one fucked y'all niggas up? I've got China on the phone right fucking now.
But he makes up for it because he went to the red carpet for the Victoria's Secret Angel show in which the newest Down syndrome model walked.
Oh, is the worst part about that is that could be a complete fabrication, but it could also not be, and I really can't tell.
Well, Victoria's Secret recently came out and released a press statement where they were like, we got one. And not only did we get one, we got the hottest one. So they got a their newest addition to the model collection has Down syndrome. And let me watch
this is the rebrand, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, I think this is just lumping in. I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to act like, I don't want to say anything bad about the model who has Down syndrome. It's not her fault. But
oh no, good for her. I'm glad she get yeah. If you need to make your money by being an absolute token, like do it, babe. I would be Trump's African American at the rally for money, so I can't judge at all. Like, get your bag.
Yeah, but they're like, look, guys, we got the hottest one. Isn't that cool? Aren't we great? But that's not true representation. The regular, the common Down syndrome person, is like, I
want to see a bitch in lingerie with like her eye, like one of her eyes just like a little bit too low. Like, that's what I want.
Or a guy who's really into model trains or something, and he just carries them around everywhere. That would be true representation. But they got
on the catwalk. It's just a train fit.
Models are tripping over him because he's just sitting crisscross applesauce and crashing trains on the runway.
Yeah, no, that must be. I don't know if you're familiar. I know you don't really follow like the high fashion zhuzh. But like Victoria's Secret, they've been in the process of, I guess, like trying to like rebrand because like basically everybody used to watch the Victoria's Secret Angels runway show every year. Not everybody, but it did numbers. But then Rihanna started the Fenty Beauty runway show, and then like she has fat girls, also black girls, but mainly she's got a lot of fat girls, and like that's what people want to see now. They want a lard bitch, as Tim Dillon would say, a fatty boom batty, naked on the stage. That's what we're looking for. So like like the year before last, like nobody, they happened on like the same night, and like nobody watched the Victoria's Secret runway show, and it was like a whole thing. The girls that still wear Victoria's Secret were very upset, which is a weird thing to be upset about, that nobody wanted to watch the show. And then they canceled like last year. I don't think they did it last year, and then so they must be doing like a rebrand now.
Well, first of all, don't come at me for my fashion. I'll have you know, I'm wearing a beanie that is rolled up so that it doesn't cover my ears and I look like Rumpelstiltskin. Look. You can see full ear.
Oh, you're getting a mullet, dude.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Zach looks like the sexiest, most racist Southern white boy right
Yeah,
now. It's a look.
I look like let's say this, I look like I run Gainesville. But so I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a beanie that doesn't cover my ears at all. And so I'll have you know I know a thing or two about fashion. Second of all, thank you for bringing up that Rihanna is signing big fat whales, because I would like to announce that I have been signed to the 2022 Fenty runway show.
Yes, queen.
And right now I am wearing all Fenty products.
He's got the Fenty. What is that sports team name?
The Florida State Seminoles.
Yeah, he's got the Fenty Seminole puff jacket, the Fenty leather belt, probably from Walmart, but like Fenty Walmart Fenty.
It's called the Walmart collection. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like how Abbey Park has like a cheaper collection. Like you gotta have a cheaper collection for the girls. That's weird. When you put your hair forward, you're giving very much Cake Paul.
Cake Paul?
Yeah. Yeah, I almost said Jake Paul, but like I had to respect, the way your identity, and you identify as Cake Paul, not Jake Paul, and I gotta respect that.
I don't know. The thing I like about having long, disgusting hair is that you can fashion it in so many ways. And right now, I feel like I look like a sensitive guy who also like I look like a communist, but also like I don't leave the house unless I spend an hour in front of the mirror.
Yeah, it's like weirdly shabby chic. I agree with you on the hair. I also like to have buff many looks. Today I'm pulling off auntie who combs your hair way too fucking hard. And that's something that most of our non-existent audience will not get, but for the girls who know.
Well, every single time we go out to drink, there's at least we like to take bets on an over-under of how many middle-aged white women will try to snatch your hair off your head.
Oh my God.
It's like they think it's do they think it's weave, or not weave, but do they think it's like, oh, like they just snag your wig? Like they literally try.
I've had many ask me if it's real. Like many.
Well,
sometimes
some people don't ask.
Yours? Like you agree that? No, some people just like I'll literally be at the bar having a beer, and all of a sudden like cold white talons are just thrust into my hair. And I'm like, whoa, hello. It's always, like you said, always an old white woman.
Not old, middle-aged, and they're always like after younger guys. and they're like hawks. They're trying to nest in your hair and look for
Literally.
opportunities to swoop in at the bar and take boys who are way too drunk home. She's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
like
sweetie, I'll take you
literally.
back to your place," and then she gets off on the fact that the TV's on the ground.
I never thought about it but I could see some older folk being into that. Like you go and it's just the TV on the ground.
She's like,
You've
"Oh
got
my God,
like,
you're so irresponsible."
yeah, you've got like an air mattress, like ramen noodles, and nothing else in the fridge. Ramen
Yeah.
noodles and liquor.
Yeah, she just wants to fucking rim ya and then get some ramen noodles after and dip.
I can see the appeal. I mean, like I can't because I'm gay, and gay is like, if you like in the gay community, when you walk into a nigga's house and that's what it looks like he's never fucking in this town again. Essentially, because we all know each other, and then we all get on the group chat, the town-wide gay group chat, and we let everybody know this nigga tried to fuck me on an air mattress. It's not good.
Yeah, so word spreads quickly, kind of like the diseases in your community.
Yeah. Yo, genuinely, I can't tell you how many times I've met a guy on Grindr, and he's been like we'll start talking about the different guys we've met, and we've literally met like all of the same guys before, like all of them. It's kind of gross.
It's like you guys are one big team.
Mm-hmm. And we all hate each other, which is so weird. There's so much like gays always despise the gays in their town is something else that I've learned from Grindr. And they all act like they all have these ideas of like, oh, one day I'm just gonna like move out of here and I'm gonna go somewhere where there's like hot guys. And it's like, you're probably not gonna find them on Grindr, sis. But keep searching.
It's
I went through like 300 and I met one.
It's because and I this isn't fucking homophobic of me. This has been verified by many gays that gays want to be the star. And if there's other gays around that they feel like have more clout, they are venomous. They can be venomous to each other.
Oh, it's honestly something to witness. College gays, in my experience, are the worst at this. Like if you're walking past a gay guy in college and you're a gay guy and you happen to be dressed better than him, it's like, it's one of those like if looks could kill situations. They'll look you up and down and like kind of like sneer at you and just kind of like perk up and like try to swing their booty while they walk, which like no one walks like that. Can we just like open message to all of my fellow queers? Stop fucking walking like that. Nobody walks like that. Like you're not fooling anyone. You're not a woman with hips. Some of them are. Some of them do have hips. I give the ones with actual hips a pass. The rest of you, fucking stop it.
Well, now that we've gotten announcements out of the way, what do you want to talk about?
What'd you say?
What do we want to talk about this week?
So I wanted to start with, because I just finished the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the new one. You told me to watch it. Can I just say, I don't even actually know where to start, because first of all, like,
let's go through it line by line.
Where's the Grammy? Like, I want, like they deserve all the awards. All the awards. It was the greatest fucking movie of the year so far, without a doubt. I've never seen a horror movie that made me like so on the side of the psycho killer so quickly. Like 5 minutes into the movie, I was like, let's get to chopping. Cut these bitches up. Like, I'm over it. And I was gratified because it was very well paced. And 5 minutes after they establish why you should hate all the main characters, this shit goes down. People start losing limbs. It's just like the pacing was, it was perfect. It was perfect.
I thought it dragged at the end. Like the last 15 to 20 minutes were a little bit of a drag when fewer and fewer people were alive. But overall, I think as a comedy, I give it an 8.5 I give it an 8.5 out of 10. It was really, really thought-provoking. And should we go down the list? We'll break it down however you want to. And I'll let you just kind of run with it because you are the last person to see it. I want to know like what you're thinking, what initial reactions, but let's go. I was doing this to you yesterday. What motifs were involved in this 70-minute film?
Wow.
Like, would you say 30 to 50 motifs?
Like it was like the whole movie was straight motif. Like it was all no story, all motif. It was like, so like you said on the phone last night, there was mental health, gentrification, gun violence, school shootings, racism,
Feminism,
feminism,
um,
elder
capitalism.
abuse, capitalism, elder abuse. I interestingly enough, I caught some hints of like the South will rise again-ness, which I don't know what you would call that as a motif, but that's very much what it felt like. Because it's all these obviously not, like, to give everyone just a quick rundown of the setup, it's all these obviously not Southern, like Instagram famous, like twinks and girls, like they basically like
They're all from
like
they're
chef,
all from
like,
they're all from they're all from either California or like Pennsylvania or something.
Yeah, maybe like Portland. There was like a touch of Portland in there.
Yeah.
And they're like Austin transplants who are like tired of the city, right? So they go 30 miles outside of Austin and they like purchase a whole town, which is very Gen Z of them. That was very, like, I could see it. I'm not sure if this has happened yet in America, but that's the future of all small towns in America. They'll eventually be bought out by some 20-year-old who does TikTok dances. Also, I gotta say, as far as the setting, it's supposed to be 30 miles from Austin, but it's definitely filmed in like El Paso. Like it's straight desert, and that is not what it looks like around Austin at all.
Yeah, and don't forget, I mean, if we're gonna start going line by line here, the cops who get the first cops to get killed, on the radio, the guy says, "You're the only two cops I have in a 50-mile radius," even though Austin is 30 miles away. No, dude,
Yeah.
I don't think it was 30 miles outside of Austin because the girl, not the main girl, but like the sister, she said they drove 7 hours.
Okay, see, so it was confusing. We might have just stumbled upon a plot hole because they also said that like the original, like at the beginning, they gave you like a little reminder of like what happened in the first Chainsaw Massacre, and they said it was just a few miles outside of Austin. And I was assuming that this, like, the guy stayed in the same town because I don't know how his mother would have moved her extremely like murderous retard son like across Texas without incident.
Yeah.
So I was like, this must still be in the same town. He can't go outside without like starting like killing bitches. But honestly, it's just like the town that it takes place in, you know? It's like placed in a real state, but it's like not actually in a place. It's like it's a magical place, truly.
Yeah, and I know there's rundown, like I know there's small towns in Texas, right? There's small towns in every state. But truly, how many towns still look like the set of Blazing Saddles?
Yeah. Like this shit, it literally looked
it had a two-door swinging saloon and shit.
Yeah, there's like one church at the end of the street, one street of buildings, and then that's it. Yeah, it was the setting was like it was genius in the way that they removed it from any and all reality. Honestly, it was almost like how the old westerns are all filmed in Monument Valley, but sometimes they're in the story. They're like, this is Wyoming or this is Texas or this is wherever, but it's always in Monument Valley. It was like that kind of a feel, which is my first intonation that this would be that I was watching a work of art. By the way, when I got this set up, I was like, this is art.
What provoked you? Like, what made you unintentionally like react either, angrily, or you thought it was funny or interesting?
Well, I gotta say, I found it weirdly relatable. Not the cutting people up part, because that's a little bit kinky for me, but like basically like the movie starts off because like these like teens, these like TikTok stars, they go into this town and they're like, there's like an orphanage that has like a Confederate flag on it. And like one of like the guy that bought the town, he's like light skinned mixed, he's like my color. And he's like, oh no, oh my God, like we can't have this up. Like there's like people coming to try to buy these buildings. And so they go into the building and there's an old lady in there and she's like on oxygen, like dying. And he basically like, so he basically just kicks the bitch out because he assumes that he bought that building along with the rest. By the way, it turned out he didn't actually buy that building. So that was like, I mean, even if he had bought the building, it's like, hey, maybe give the bitch like a few days at least. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah, and like, so basically that's where the story picks up. Like he walks in, he tells this old white bitch, like, fuck you, you're a racist. Like, and then he goes and gets the cops to kick her out. Turns out this is Leatherface's mother, right? So as the cops are trying to get this bitch out of her own house, she like vomits and she starts like having a stroke or something. Leatherface comes down the stairs, no leather on his face yet, but he comes down the stairs, scoops up his mom, takes her to the ambulance. Right. And which by the way, this was the point where I was like, oh, I'm ready. Like, kill these bitches. Because like as a Floridian, this was the relatable part to me. Like these prissy fucking stuck up Yankees love to move into small, quaint southern towns and then like attack the people that live there for being racist gun owners and just throw their fucking weight around and tell everybody like what's right.
Yeah, it's classic someone who's never had a dog before and then they get a puppy and then they're mad that it's a puppy. And they're like, why does it shit in my room and why is it chewing on stuff? Like, you're going to a place and you're getting mad at people for being from that place.
Yeah, like literally, like the first, like the second local that they meet, who ends up being a great guy. He's like this guy. He's got like a loud ass on which the truck. It was a bit much. I have to say the truck was a bit much. It's this giant jacked up truck with like the spouts coming out the top, just pouring black smoke, like ridiculous. Like no one, even in Texas, they would not let you drive that down the street. And he's got like a Colt. It looked like to me it'd be like a Colt 45 or something, like hanging on his belt, big handgun. And like one of the sisters, because it's like the main three are like these two sisters. By the way, one of them like went to like this movie's version of Stoneman Douglas High, which we'll get to that.
Shout out Florida. Shout out Florida.
Like, whoop, whoop. One of the sisters is like, oh my God, like how little of a dick do you have to like feel like you have to carry around a gun? Like, which is, there were so many lines in this movie that I would love to say that they were like overplayed, but like I've heard people say that like that sentence, I've heard people say that like in person, witnessed people that I met to college say that about like locals in the land and shit like that. Like, so like yeah, I would love to be able to say that line was too much, but that line was unfortunately extremely accurate. And the guy kind of threatens to murder them, which was a little bit weird. He's like, we've got invasive hogs and there's only one way to deal with an invasive species, kill it on sight, which was hot. I got wet. Like, I can't even lie. I was moist. And then it turned out that guy's like their contractor because there's like 3 people that live in this town.
And he does everything.
Which why is this a town anymore? Because literally the only residents of the town were the 2 cops, that guy who's a contractor / mechanic, and then Leatherface and his mother. There's 5 people.
The only and the sign said population of 2,000.
Yeah, yeah, there was no one there. So it was, and maybe that's a budget thing, you know, maybe they couldn't, I don't know. It was very much like, I doubt all the farms surrounding the townstead are like contain 2,000 people. So that was another plot hole. And yeah, so yeah, as to get back to it. So yeah, they're kicking this bitch out of her house, and that was very much the part where I was like, all right, Leatherface, like it's time. They're in the ambulance. Mom dies. Leatherface is like freaking the fuck out, right? Because his mom's dying, and like, yo, this scene, this was where it got lit because he's like shaking her oxygen tank, and the cop like puts his hand on him to try to get him to calm down.
Like
And he
this, like
takes the
this,
cop's
like
arm
this, like
and
this,
just
like this.
just like this. Yeah, yeah. He just grabs his hand and he like breaks it in half. Just fucking breaks his arm in half.
He goes like,
he goes slits his throat.
He goes like this, and this bone rips out of the skin, and then he grabs it and starts stabbing the guy with it. And there's like Justin. Yeah, like wait, no, Justin. Let's take our time. There's actually been people that I know that have argued that is realistic, and even if you're the most trained and the strong, if you're Francis Ngannou and you're a UFC fighter, you can't just grab someone's hand like this and snap it so hard that the bone comes out.
Yeah,
you can't.
Yeah, which we all know that like retards in horror movies, they have Superman godlike strength, you know. So that was like, I could forgive them for the ridiculousness because like at least it's true to the genre, you know. I mean, if you watch like the Halloween movies, that retard is like fucking crazy.
And now that I'm thinking about it, most slasher films are just anti-retard movies.
Oh yeah, it's always just like a guy with autism that like got really upset because his mom died.
Yeah,
that's like the plot, and then murder ensues. Which you know, it's one of those things is, you know, like calling things ableist is trendy nowadays. You know, sometimes when they call the horror movies ableist, I'm like, you just might have a point. You really just might. Yeah, especially because in real life, murderers are often not retards. They're often like geniuses, like evil genius psychopaths.
But it makes it easier for people to understand when they're just bloodthirsty, you know, people with disabilities.
Yeah, for some reason, because it's hard, which randomly connects because I was like talking to my mom. Apparently, there was like some murder in Florida not too long ago that like there people are trying to decide if it was a hate crime. I'm talking to my mom, and she kind of expressed the thing that most people express when they hear about something awful, which is that, you know, that like something must have been wrong with that guy. And like one of the hard truths about like reality and history and current events that most people I don't think can really handle is that like it's often normal people that do terrible things. Yeah. And that's like, if you're having a horror movie, I can understand why you're like, we don't need to go there, just make him a retard so it's simple for the people. Yeah, so the cop in the front gets shot in another ridiculous like the cop that's down pulls out his gun, and then Leatherface slaps it, and the cop gets shot through the neck in the front, and they wreck. One of the like TikTok stars is in the car because she's like, oh my god, I have to go with her, like, oh my god, like we did this, which they're right, like you did do it, but bitch, why are you going to the hospital? Like you're not gonna be any help. Can I just say, if I'm ever dying, don't anyone that's not a medical professional, don't get in the fucking ambulance with me.
You're don't just getting in the way.
Taking up my fucking oxygen.
You're just getting in the way.
Literally, let the people do their job. Which, by the way, a town in 2022 that literally doesn't have medical professionals in the town, like there was no EMS. There was just a paddy
There was wagon. 3 people. There was 3 people. Who was their mayor? They had no mayor. It wasn't a town.
Yeah. You're right. Like, what do I want for the mechanic / contractor to also be like an EMT?
Yeah.
So yeah, they wreck, and like homegirl gets on the radio. the TikTok star, she gets on the radio and she's like, he's wearing her face, because Leatherface like takes his mom's face off and like puts it on, and that's when you know it goes down. Which I gotta say, great shot. There's like a part where he just takes his mom's face and he like puts it up to the light, and like the sun kind of reflects like on the corner of like the eye hole of his mom's face skin. It was very cinematic. Like, it's an extremely well shot movie, actually. Like, some of it was like, wow, that's really good. And you know, he kills that bitch. That one was brutal. It was like a close up shot of him slowly dragging a knife through her stomach. It was like, yikes. And then from there, the movie just picks up, and it's like he gets back to town. Oh, the bitch that survived the original movie, she apparently, in the story, she became like a Texas Ranger. She's been searching for him, so she hears about this shit.
Wait. You brought this up last night. She was a Texas Ranger for 30 years looking for him, and he never moved.
Mm-hmm.
He never changed addresses. It would be as simple as opening a phone book, and she would have been able to find him. But this dumb...
Yeah, not to mention the fact that, I don't know if you remember the details of the first movie, but like in the first movie, they all, like, she was in the house while like Leatherface and his family were all saying each other's names. So she like should have known a few of the family members' names. Like, it should not have been hard at all for them to find this nigga. Also, it's like, I mean, did anyone not think to check the like gorilla-sized retard like MMA fighter in the town, like the only guy that has the physical ability to actually do these murders? Nobody thought maybe we'll ask him a few questions.
And not to fucking mention, I don't get me wrong, I liked her character. And she was, like you said, she was fucking gutting a pig when the guy who works at the gas station hears the influencer crying on the radio, and he instantly calls the lady who's a retired Texas Ranger. She's gutting the pig. She gets the phone call. You don't hear what she's saying, but you know what they're saying. Basically, she gets her gun. She throws it in the truck. Fast forward, she fucking is staring at Leatherface point blank with a shotgun, and he's just like this. He's like this. He's like this. He's like,
yeah, literally.
And she's like this, and he's like, and she just starts naming the names of her friends that died, like Franklin, Timmy, Martha, and she's trying to negotiate with him to say her name, and she's like, say my name.
Like, I don't even think he can speak.
He clearly can't talk.
Like, obviously.
He's wearing his mother's face. And he's putting makeup on. You really want him to, like, you want him to say something to you specifically. So, and he doesn't even register that there's a gun in his face. Like, he's not scared at all. And she just lets him, you know, walk away and like continue to terrorize the two main characters. But that was
the craziest part, because she could have blown his head off. She had birdshot at that shotgun. Like, you could have just peppered him. It's point blank, and then she allowed him to go kill another one of those girls.
This whole thing. The whole part of the movie that dragged for me, the last 20 minutes, could have not happened. It could have just been bam, and then that's it.
Yeah, that high key should have been it right there. Oh, don't forget, we can't skip over the bus scene. The bus scene was a piece of social commentary unlike any I've ever seen, because there's like all of these like, who knows if it's like, it's somewhere between 20 and 50 like influencers. The numbers are so like they just don't establish at all how many people are there.
in each shot the number of people change, so it's hard to tell.
But they're all on this party bus because they're like, oh shit, something's going down. And like Leatherface is next to the bus and he like cuts the tire as they're trying to drive away. You know, bus driver goes down. But a couple seconds later, inexplicably without a chainsaw noise, the bus driver's severed head gets thrown back into the bus. and you know, Leatherface just kind of slowly like crip walks up the stairs, you know, and he's just kind of, he's standing with his chainsaw posing,
which is running, by the way. So the gas exhaust fumes would kind of give it away that something is wrong, right?
Yeah. And all of these influencers, they all at the same time like pick up their phones and they're doing like Instagram live, and like one guy is like, if you fuck with me, you're so canceled, bro.
He literally says you're canceled, bro. Like this.
Literally.
Bro, you're canceled, bro.
To which Leatherface's only response was which was great. And then honestly, a terrible scene. Like, it was a terrible scene, but it was a great scene in how terrible it was, because it was one of those where everybody is just slapping the windows, being like, ah! So, and the whole time I'm like, do the windows not open, bitch? And then like after he kills almost everybody on the bus, one bitch decides to open a window. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me the window's open this whole time?
The windows are like this big, so like you have to like go like this through them, and there's like an exit right by her, but she's like, no, I'm gonna like fit through the window like this and get my body split in half.
Oh yeah, and she gets cut in half, which that character, by the way, another little piece of social commentary that I thought was low-key actually pretty genius. After they kick this old lady out of her house and accuse her of being a racist, and they're like, she's getting taken away. The contractor is like taking down the Confederate flag, and he like puts it to the guy's chest, the guy that like bought the whole town. He's like, here's your fucking flag or whatever. And the flag kind of falls to the ground. And then there's at this point, this is when the party bus of influencers get here. And like one of the influencers is like a beautiful black girl. And she kind of walks up, and like the bus is there early. So he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, we didn't clean the town up. And she's like, oh no, the people, like, this is exactly what they want. Like, they want the history. And that was a very well-placed line. That was an extremely well-placed line, because, you know, that definitely speaks to the kind of current, this dog is going crazy. The kind of current, like, climate where, like, you've got, like, a bunch of young, like, Gen Z people who think they know more than they know. And they have all these ideas about how we should be perceiving history, but at the same time, they're like, but boomers need to shut the fuck up and get rid of like your history. Is very like history as a fashion choice rather than history as, you know, being educational. Like there was something
also
there.
It's also the history that they envision and like fetishize, not actually the history and the people that were a part of it.
Yeah. So yeah, that was actually like I was like, ooh, I saw what you guys did there. So yeah, bus murder.
Let's talk about this, right? So every suspension of disbelief, yada yada. Every human, right, in a slasher film, and the reason they do this is because it is realistic, is either fight or flight. And by people being like this and like, oh, dude, you're canceled, bro. And then a montage of them getting murdered in slow motion while everyone's like, ah. That they literally let's say there was between 30 and 50 influencers, right? So let's say 40, just for sake of argument.
Yeah.
All 40 people on that bus ignored fight and ignored their flight instinct.
Yeah.
So they're like subhuman. These people literally aren't behaving like humans. They're just recording. So
Yeah, which
I thought that was amazing.
yeah, that was pretty, and it was, that's another part of the movie where it's like I would love to be able to say that I think that was like too much, but like high key, like I could see a lot of people like in our age range dying exactly like that, like recording it, and then once they realize shit's going down, just being completely useless.
Yep. I mean, we all know friends that will go on a hike with, and then you hear a snake in the bushes and they just freeze and go, "What was that? What
You
was
just
that?"
triggered me.
Yeah,
You
and
triggered
then
me so hard.
like a little garden snake comes out and they're like, "Kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it." But they're not doing anything. They're just standing there.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
I've had friends in college that were like, as soon as two people started fighting, instead of either removing yourself from the fight or breaking it up, they just sit there and watch. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, do one or the other. Don't stand like something spills and they just go like this instead of like grabbing the thing that spilled. Like
I
it's
genuinely can't stand. I can't stand that level of reaction that seems to be like that kind of thing. I don't know what it is, if that's like a phenomenon, but
it's
that's like I've
called
seen so many people my our age do that.
it's called I not everyone. I've seen people do it though, and it's just helplessness, dude. It's just
Mm.
so so and I know it's like it's not the person's fault they reacted that way. It's just a reaction, but it's my fault that I hang out with you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you the number of times that I've been in the woods. Like, there's been multiple times actually that I've been in the woods with people and like an animal showed up, or we thought an animal would show up and they started running away, which is like, babe, you're not outrunning anything that lives out here, sis. You go like 5 miles an hour because you like spend all day on TikTok. And like, even if you didn't spend all day on TikTok and you were like, you could be Usain Bolt, you're still not outrunning anything out here, bitch. What are you running for? Like, dumb as fuck.
Yep.
And the people in this movie, they didn't even run. They just kind of waited around for it to happen until you get down to the last two girls.
The only ones
Yeah,
that
I think
have fight or flight instinct.
Yeah, that's really like about where the interest in the movie declined. Like Homegirl should have shot Leatherface in the face, he didn't. So the movie like was like we were, it was forced to continue for another 10 or 15 minutes. There was kind of a little badass moment where like the two sisters are like fighting against Leatherface, and like one of them picks up the chainsaw, which is funny because she's got like little bird arms, and I'm like, which could not wield the chainsaw.
And she pulls it over her head, and it's
Yeah.
like let alone, and I know, sexism, I'm a sexist, I get it. If you or me tried to do that with a chainsaw, we would not be able to swing it over our head. And this,
Yeah. Even if we got it up there, the chainsaw, the momentum would continue, and we'd like stab ourselves in the back with the chainsaw.
or we just drop it, like we let go
Yeah.
of it. But
Oh.
instead of using first of all, Jason has been shot multiple times, and he's like
Oh
this,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
in Mortal Kombat, where it's like finish him, and the other person's like this.
Yeah.
This is what Leatherface is
Yeah.
doing. This is what Leatherface is doing. And she, instead of using the chainsaw for the purpose in which the tool was made, which is cutting and like running through, like cutting through stuff, instead of just going like this to like Leatherface, who's like that, she goes over her head and perfectly uppercuts him like right on the chin.
Oh
And she
god.
just barely glances him, and he goes like this, and he like falls into like conveniently placed missing floorboards and water.
Yeah, there's like a sinkhole underneath the theater for
Yeah,
whatever reason, in a desert.
there's just a fucking giant pond, sewage drainage thing underneath the floorboards of a house, underneath a foundation
Yeah.
for a house.
Yeah, yeah, in the desert, which was the part that got me the most. But
Yeah, yeah.
and yo, I will say the last couple seconds did kind of get me because I thought it was over. Like the girls, they run out of the theater. They get in a car, which I don't even know whose car it was.
It
Like
was the
was that
black
car
guys.
there the whole time?
It was the black guys.
Yeah, which I think it was self-driving as well.
Yes, it was.
But yeah, because so basically they're in the car and then like they're trying to drive away and then boom, Leatherface is there again. And you're like, oh my God, I thought this nigga was dead. Like I genuinely thought that was it. And then like he pulls one of his sisters out of the car and like the sister's still in the car. Instead of stopping the car or turning it around to try to help her sister, she lets the car keep driving on its own and then like pokes her head up out the sunroof and turns around and watches him cut her sister's head off. And he's just kind of like, bye, bitch.
He's like this. He's like
Which, by
this
the way,
with his
he's
sister's
got a
head.
flair for the dramatics. Yeah, literally. He's got a flair for the dramatics. Like Homeboy was in drama.
100% because he could have just decapitated, he could have just killed that bus driver, but he had to punt the guy's head back into the bus like at full speed, like he was an NFL kicker.
Oh yeah. He had like great sense of timing. Like
and
truly, he could have been
many of his kills, either with the chainsaw or with like giant hammers, he could have easily just killed you, but he wanted to throw it at you. And I remember he got a fucking throwing knife kill where he fucking first of all, he's at the top of the stairs. One of the main characters is at the bottom, and he throws this like 30-pound hammer as hard as he can, and it hits her in the chest. And she goes flying. She goes flying like she got hit by a cannonball, and she goes through the floorboards of the house. And she just gets up and is like, oh my God. And it's like your fucking chest would be broken and your ribs, you would die from internal bleeding. And I'm spitting so much this episode, but like I've never had more to say. So she fucking gets her chest broken. And instead of, dying from internal bleeding, punctured organs and stuff, she like crawls away to safety. They make a shout out. There's a motif for scat play, which I really enjoyed. So do you remember the scat play?
Yeah, when she's like under the house.
Yeah, so Leatherface is cutting through the floorboards, and he cleanly, which is not realistic, he cleanly cuts through a sewage pipe as if it's butter, and there's no sparks, and it just cleanly cuts.
By the way, the chain on this chainsaw is 30 years old.
Yeah, there's no way he hadn't replaced it. So him not going outside doesn't make sense.
He also gets the chainsaw started. Like he breaks chainsaw at the wall whenever he's like, it's time to start killing these bitches, and just starts it. Like he just starts that bitch. I'm like, what kind of like electric powered chainsaw is this nigga running right now? Like,
yeah. So he cuts through a pipe of poo, no sparks. Cuts through it like butter, even though it wouldn't be that easy with a chainsaw cutting through pipe. And
yeah, because chainsaws are not made for that.
Yeah, and poo goes all over her face, and she escapes, but she's like running like with like poop and blood on her, and she gets to the bus. And instead of like telling people to run or to call the cops, she just starts going, no. And all the influencers, even though she's the reason they came to the town and they all know her, they don't even recognize that she's on the bus and that she smells like poop and is covered in blood.
Yeah.
And later on in the movie, she fucking gets impaled with like a rod that's sticking out, an indiscriminate rod, and it gets stuck in her leg, goes right through her leg. First of all, she would have died from bleeding.
Yeah.
But also, they don't really explain how she got out, but she somehow gets out of that.
Yeah, there's like a scene of her trying to get out and she obviously can't. And then but then they cut to her sister fighting Leatherface in the theater. And there's like a scene where like she's like trying to shoot him and she keeps missing because this bitch like fucking should have learned how to shoot instead of being scared of guns after Stoneman Douglas.
Also, she's doing the Steven Seagal thing where she isn't even pointing her gun. She's just walking around like this.
Yeah.
And she thinks she can like quickly like she's a fucking sniper. Like she can just like fucking raise her gun and fucking like the guy who tried even though he had an AR 30 steps away from where Leatherface was, he's like, I'm just going in with my pistol. But even he was like, tactical. This bitch is just walking around like lazily pointing her gun, not even pointing it at people.
And by the way, this was like the third or fourth time in the movie that somebody followed Leatherface into a building. What the fuck? Like, why? Like when this nigga, like when he runs into a building, that's your cue to leave, bitch.
Yeah.
You know, follow this nigga.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and then like she like she's like about to die, and so she turns around and she's like having flashbacks to Stoneman Douglas, which by the way, it's not Stoneman Douglas, it's like some other fake school, but the flashbacks to the school shooting she went through, that guy, like he was trained. That would like if that happened in real life, that'd be like the most accurate school shooter of life because the flashbacks just show a hallway with like 12 dead students, and I'm like, they never get those numbers, like never.
Yeah, in one hallway. So like they kind of implied that like more died.
Oh yeah, like this guy like he had a dad in the military or some shit that like showed him what the fuck to do when shit went down. He was like literally like Call of Duty in that bitch. It was extremely bloody, that flashback scene too. Like it was very, very bloody. It was very much like
it was a
not
very,
what it looks like when people get shot.
The movie fetishized gore. Like there was a lot of unnecessary gore and blood and just people don't have this much blood. Like the only scenarios you see this much blood are like war. And even then it's like every single person is dumping pools of blood. And then some of them are like resuscitating. They're like,
yeah. They're dumping 20 gallons and then they wake up 5 minutes later. It's like, okay,
pick one. I would love to have these people's blood supplies because some of them just didn't run out of blood.
Oh yeah, literally. Speaking of pools of blood, though, I was listening to like Hardcore History the other day, and I think
Dan Carlin.
Yeah, great podcast, fucking amazing podcast.
Great podcast.
But it was like the story of it was like he was like talking about the Persians and their rise to power and then like their eventual like defeat with the Greeks. And there was like one specific battle. I don't remember the details, but like they told like somebody who had been at the battle like talked about like wrote about like the ground being soaked, like the ground being red because there was so much blood. Because it was like one of those battles where it's like 1 million people fucking murdering like 300,000 other people, gruesome. That was like an insane piece of imagery from that podcast. So that almost makes me forgive the excessive blood like a little bit because we do got like a good little bit of blood.
My favorite Dan Carlin podcast ever is our desensitization, if that's a word, for gore. And it kind of he kind of talks about throughout human history how up until very, very recently across cultures, people for entertainment would go to the town square and watch someone get tortured.
Yeah, that episode's called Painfotainment for anybody that wants to check it out.
Great. I re-listen to that episode like once a year because it's so fucking fascinating. But it basically he's not even unpacking. He's just setting the table of like why people can under what seems to be pressure or whatever, people can put up with seeing horrific things, because up until very recently, we did it for entertainment.
Yeah, which, you know, and it was interesting because he did keep drawing parallels to like modern horror and action movies, and, you know, being like, are we not doing the same thing? Like to our brains, is watching a bloody horror movie not the exact same thing, fulfilling whatever the same need that like watching a live execution fulfilled?
Yep, it's just watch. It's yeah, exactly. I agree.
With that was like the crazy part about that to me, because he really got into like what are all the different motivations that led people to watch it, because, you know, like every society had its own different flair to the public execution. Sometimes it was a religious thing, sometimes it was entertainment, sometimes
Sometimes
it
it
was
was
like,
like law, you
yeah,
know.
sometimes it's like this is the power of the state. Often it was like a little bit of a cocktail of all those factors. And like, yeah, like it's extremely fascinating.
Yeah.
There was a question I wanted to ask you actually about this, right? Have you ever considered whether or not, if you had the chance, you would do a Holocaust?
What do
It
you
doesn't have
mean?
to be Jews. It can be anyone.
Oh,
Like, would you, like, if you had the chance and like the political motivation, do you think you would be capable of like eradicating a people?
yes, and I tell you who it will be. People who
Okay.
walk people who walk around in public or highly populated places on speakerphone.
Oh my god, you're talking about me. I do that shit.
Dude, for I'll tell you a funny story. It's not that funny. I'm sorry to preface it that way, because I it's not funny. But I in college one time I got here, let me get hold on. Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Great. I hope everyone's enjoying the Holocaust talk so far.
So I'm sorry for all that dead air. So
Yeah, it's okay. I felt it a little bit.
I had this exact speaker. It doesn't work anymore, so I need to get rid of it. But it was a really fucking good speaker, one of the best purchases I ever made. It's not that big, but it's really loud. And I put it in my backpack and I walked to class playing music. And I
Oh
realized,
god.
I know, I saw people crossing the sidewalk and people giving me the side eye, and I immediately never did it again. But
Thank God.
I knew another guy in my dorm who would do that often. And I was that guy. I was ready to be that guy until I saw the reaction and I realized I wanted some sort of friend group. So I stopped. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the most embarrassing thing I think you've ever told me. You've told me some pretty embarrassing stories. You used to
yeah,
be a
dude.
wigger, and that's way worse.
That's way worse.
It's like so much worse.
Just blaring of Monsters and Men while like
See,
while
and
fucking
it's like it's so much worse if it's anything but like gangster rap. You know what I mean? Like if it's
like
not like
well, I
Tupac,
mean,
it's like off.
I mean, if it's gangster rap, that's very cringy too. But like mine was probably like Mumford and Sons or something. Oh, that's what I look like. I look like one of my favorite bands is Mumford and Sons.
You definitely do. You definitely do.
But yeah, what about you? Who would you Holocaust?
Um, you know, that's difficult.
I could probably make a short list of people.
I'm tempted to say like all of the northern United States, honestly, but that's a little bit too South will rise again for me.
Yeah, dude,
I even I would.
and that would be not chill because I live here now.
Oh shit, you do. Well, you're like you get a pass because you're from Florida. Like let's like all of the like California and New York, they can go. We don't need them. I think Oregon can go. Nobody goes to Oregon anyway. Like, what's even in Oregon? I think we can keep the rest. I think the rest is okay.
Oh, let me come on. We got to think of more.
Well, okay, so I get, I should have came up with a funny answer for this ahead of time because this was like the obvious lead up question. But like the reason I asked the question, right, is because I was listening to and also hardcore history, and he was talking about the Celtic Holocaust, right, which is essentially the rebrand. That's like the rebranding for the time that Julius Caesar conquered Gaul, which is like all of basically modern day France. And he went up there, and to make a long story short, what was supposed to be like a routine military campaign to kind of keep the peace, and like make sure that like nothing was happening that could threaten Rome, turned into him conquering and subjugating this whole people. And he killed, the estimates are he killed about a third of them, he enslaved about another third of them, and then obviously subjugated the last third, because then after that Gaul was considered to be Rome, and there, you are now not Roman people, but you're under the thumb of Rome now. And it's like, I mean, it's like brutal. Like he did like a Trail of Tears thing where he kind of like followed this like millions of like Gaelic migrants who were trying to escape to the north, and he just kind of killed them a little bit by little bit. Very Andrew Jackson. And he did the whole thing, right, essentially because of the politics back in Rome. Like the motivation for the entire thing was just that he was like, I'm in debt back home. If I go back and I haven't made a lot of money and made a name for myself, these niggas are gonna string me the fuck up. Which that was definitely the main motivation. People debate as to when exactly he kind of decided like, oh, I can like subjugate all these people, and like I can just take them all out, and then I can go back to Rome like a hero, like Rome hasn't seen in generations, And this was a very key component in Julius Caesar eventually becoming the emperor of Rome and whatnot. But I was like listening to it, and like I was like, like, okay, this is pretty horrible. Like it's bad. It's not good, right? Like morally questionable. And then Dan Carlin read a quote, like that was like a quote from one of the politicians who were back in Rome, who were basically trying to say that like what Julius Caesar is doing is illegal as fuck, and we should take him when he gets back and deliver him to the Germans to be tortured to death. And the quote was, he raised armies out of his pocket and without permission. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of fucking badass. Like I just gotta realize, like, I was like, damn, you know what? If I was in Julius Caesar's shoes, let's say, I feel like I would have been down for that. Cause like you're telling me niggas back home are gonna be talking about how I raised armies out of my pocket. That's badass. Like I wouldn't mind having that kind of a legacy. Long story short, I realized like, I think I realized why Holocausts tend to happen so often in human history. Because like if you're the guy that has the power to do that, you're like, this would be fucking killer to tell the boys back home.
It's for PR. It's a big PR thing. Yeah. And going back to what we said earlier, how serial killers are usually genius, and people who commit horrible atrocities are usually normal, and there's nothing mentally by themselves that is wrong, quote unquote, medically wrong with them. This is it's hard pill to swallow Saturday. And if you're listening to this, I'm sure you're a great person, but like you are capable of the most heinous things imaginable. And if you deny that reality, then
you're probably more capable than most. If you deny
it might, yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but it's worth a shot, to at least recognize it. I don't, and yes, ignorance is bliss. I agree. But when it comes to the responsibility you have to others, then, just fucking know, dude. Just know, and don't when something bad happens and you tell someone you trust about it, like really understand that it could have been you. You could have been the reason that XYZ happened because you are capable of it. And I'm not saying, blame yourself for everything or whatever, but I'm just saying take
You should
responsibility.
take responsibility. Yeah. For everything. Yeah, no, and this is actually an idea that is something I've been thinking about a lot. A little hint, it might work its way into some of my artwork that will be coming out this year. But this is an idea that
Mine too.
Mine too.
I plan to make a big. I plan to send a big message at the Fenty show this year. I will be caked. I will be caked in Big Mac sauce, and I will be my dress. My dress will be 2 sesame buns. Okay, and my
it'll say I am a murderer on the dress.
It will say, yeah, I am Satan, and my stretch marks will be pinch points for tomato and onion that'll be duct taped to my hips.
Okay, so let's be honest. You won't need duct tape. They'll chill out in your flaps.
That's true. They'll chill out on my perches, and I'll have pickles under my tongue. So if you want, and my mouth will be full of Big Mac sauce. So if you don't want to lick off my hairy body, I have to tongue kiss you to give you the Big Mac sauce. And that's
and then you'll get to the end of the catwalk and shoot a Jew in the head.
And that's the dress. The whole thing is part of the outfit. Shooting the executive in the head, the tongue kissing of strangers.
I love how you just made executive and Jew synonyms.
Well, I mean, what am I wrong? Is he gonna be a C-suite, or is he gonna be on the legal team? You tell me. But either way, they're gonna be wearing, they're gonna be there. The tickets are gonna be copped. They're not gonna go because they fucking love fashion. Someone else, some sponsor is gonna give it to them, right?
Oh, it's fucking great. Oh man. But yeah, I was to go back to that like idea though, that like, you should like, and this is something I was saying, Jordan Peterson has, like, he talks about it a lot, and he's kind of crystallized this idea for me personally, just that like the way to understand like atrocities done in history is to put yourself in the shoes of the people who did the atrocities. And, I think that's that kind of an understanding would actually be extremely useful for people in our current political climate, because we're kind of like in this space where both like, I think politics is more complicated than left and right, but for argument's sake, I'll just break it down to left and right. Like the left and right, they both are under this impression that like my side is fighting for the right thing, and like all of those other people that on the other side that voted for that guy, like they're bad and they're evil, and there's no commonality between me and them. And it's like that's exactly, like, I feel like that lack of understanding that like good and evil resides in equal parts within all of us, that's led to a lot of the like extreme political misunderstandings between the left and right per se. Because it's take the trucker thing. Like compare the response to the truckers protests to the response to the BLM protests. Whether or not you agree with why those protests went down, like, and whether and you can maybe make the argument that they went too far in some particular way. You can make the argument that they didn't go too far in some particular way. The way both sides look at the protests that they don't agree with, and they're like, these people are criminals and these people are anti whatever and they're ignorant and we need to get them off the streets and fuck their First Amendment rights. It's very much like they just don't realize that at the end of the day, the truckers in Black Lives Matter, they're really protesting for the same reasons. The details are different, but like you're mad about the same shit. You're mad about the way that people in power are using their power. Like that's the root of both those things. But because we have this total lack of empathy and lack of understanding, as to like Like everyone is just so similar to so much more similar to each other, regardless of their political leanings. You know, yeah, like I don't know exactly where my conclusion that I'm going for is, but I feel like if more people were able to understand history through that lens and current events through that lens, we'd have a whole lot less like disagreement between like the regular people.
Or disagreement is fine, but agreements
Yeah,
on
you're right.
disagreements.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would at least have a whole lot less just like complete and total villainization and like unwillingness to see where the other person's coming from.
But again, this is what the ghosts in the lizard people in the sky, that's what the people in power want. They want to divide to prevent unification, and they're succeeding. Either they're doing something to succeed at it, or we are just too dumb to get out of our own way, and they're being lucky enough to benefit off of it. But for whatever reason, we look towards each other instead of calling out the principal or the teacher in the room. So
yeah. Or like because we both mentioned responsibility earlier. Like that's another thing. Like I feel like once you come to that realization that like we're all flawed, but we all also have like potential for good, you also have to kind of take responsibility upon yourself and like for all of the bad things that do happen in society. Like in America, we have this tendency to be like, oh, everything is somebody's fault, but not my fault. And it's like, no, it's also your fault. It can also be everyone's else's fault, but it's like also your fault too, dude. You know?
Yeah, which is why we fucked ourselves, because we've created. I think it's a collective creation. It's not like one person's idea, but collectively we came up with this idea or this agreement or this contract, the social contract that if you've ever done anything wrong publicly, then you should be ostracized. And what was the term back in the day where the Pope, where he would kick you out of the church and say
excommunicated?
Yeah, we excommunicate people. And it's like it's so disingenuous that we can't really go anywhere from there, because we are so quick to throw stones, like the old fucking Bible verse, look, don't look at the speck in that guy's eye when you have a fucking plank in your own eye. Don't throw stones in a glass house. All those fucking sayings. It's true.
As Southern aunties like to say, sweep around your own front door.
It's, in conclusion, 8.5 out of 10, Leatherface.
I think as a horror, 5. As a biting social commentary, 12.
As a horror, I'll give it what's less than 0? Is it a 0 to 10 scale, or is it 1 to 10? Let's just say it's 1 to 10. So I'll give it a 1. That was bad. That was bad.
Yeah, because it wasn't scary. It wasn't
actually. I'll give it a 2, because I know you said that you were surprised how he killed the sister in the end, but I actually saw that coming, because
oh, really?
Yeah,
in my
because
defense, I was cooking Johnsonville breakfast sausage whenever, like, for the last 10 minutes of the movie.
So you weren't paying attention fully.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but yeah.
One last thing I wanted to talk about, because it kind of seems like you're trying to wind down. So I've been like following, I've been listening to a lot of coverage of what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and I don't have an opinion because like I'm not qualified. Like most of the people who do have opinions are not qualified to have an opinion. But one thing I have observed is Ukrainians are fucking badass. Like I didn't fucking like, holy shit, dude. These guys are like fighting Russia. They're like fighting Russia by themselves. They're not getting no help.
Well, they are getting a little bit now, finally, but it's very minor. It's very minor. But
I mean, if you count our sanctions as help, which like, does anyone think Russia gives a fuck about
yeah,
their sanctions?
no. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to like Turkey blocking the Black Sea from Russians accessing their ports. They also sent Navy into like, I forget the name of that fucking sea, the Nordic Sea. So like Ukraine's going to be protected via water, I guess, sea.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, the prime minister of Ukraine said it when there was a false report that came out that he signed like a peace treaty or something. He came out and he said, I didn't sign shit. There was reports that he left the capital city and he was like still in his office. Thank God at the end of the day, thank God for social media, because he's taking
for real.
he's taking a selfie video in his office like this, and he's with like the president and the chancellor and all these high-ranking officials, and he's like, I'm staying here, I'm not leaving, and I didn't sign shit. And I'm hopeful now for Ukraine, but he basically, it goes back to like history repeating itself and like Russian arrogance, that they thought that they could invade the place where these people's wives and children and fathers live and all that shit, and they thought it would happen just overnight. And the Ukrainian people, basically the prime minister said, there's a reason why we're called Ukraine, and there's a reason why Ukraine exists in the first place. It's because we have a right for our claims and we have a legitimate military. And I've counted 3 Hall of Fame boxers that are Ukrainian that are enlisted in the Ukrainian army and are serving on the front lines. So it's like the current heavyweight champion of the world in boxing is you know, fucking shooting a gun right now. So
that's like a dude. A country of fucking badasses. Did you see that they've been like teaching their citizens how to make Molotov cocktails?
Yep.
Like that shit to me is like so crazy. Like we're seeing videos of like a whole bunch of non-military people showing up and learning how to fucking turn bottles of vodka into bombs because they're like and not without a fight.
And I'm not, you know, I don't doubt at all that the Ukrainian people are, when you attack, when you invade and you're in like a defensive position, they're attacking. Imagine if someone came into your house and was attacking you.
Yeah.
Like you're going to fight, you're going to scrap, right? But but I think it's kind of Russian propaganda. Like they're taking those stories and they're spinning them to for people to think that like it's Russia is gonna be on the doorstep of every Ukrainian home, and the people and the mothers and children are gonna have to fight. When in actuality, the Ukrainian military is quite competent and has not let Russians set foot in Ukraine.
Well, they're in Ukraine, but they haven't let them get into Kiev. At least not enough of them get into Kiev to take the city. At least as far as the last time I looked into it. Yeah, dude, it's something to see. Like honestly, like this is the kind of thing. Like it's like Braveheart. Like because they might lose. There's a good chance they're gonna lose at the end of the day. Russia has not used its whole military, let alone the tactical nukes and shit that they have at their disposal. You know, and Ukraine gave up their nukes back in like 2014. So if it comes to that, like they're fucked. But like it's like genuinely like, I don't know, it's crazy to see a group of people literally just be like, you know what, it's probably a losing fight, but we're gonna fucking have the fight, nigga. Like fuck you. We're not about to just like bend over and take it. And it also like the fact that they are fighting so hard and so many non-military people are fighting so hard, to me, like completely dismantles Putin's whole the whole way he's trying to justify this, because basically what he's saying is that Ukraine is currently under the control of Nazis and that's who's fighting him.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, yeah, you see the way these people are fighting, and it's like they're not. This isn't a bunch of Nazis. This is a bunch of people that love their fucking country. It's something to say. I mean, it's like a movie going down in real life.
Yeah, it's amazing stuff.
And, and one thing that I wish more Americans would get out of this truly is like, one, we need to, as a people, we need to be stronger, because there's a whole lot of places in America that would not be able to put up that kind of a defense. And two, we really need to be we should be so fucking grateful that we are not in that kind of a landlocked position like so many other countries in the world. Like we own this whole continent. Our two neighbors are like the fucking nice guy Canadians and the Mexicans who we pay them anyway. Like we're never really, it's so unlikely that America's ever going to be in like such a desperate situation like this.
We're
It's
never,
like,
we're never gonna be like being sieged on all fronts. That's just not gonna happen.
Like I was watching wish I was on a computer so I could like pull it up, but I was watching a video, like a Fox News coverage. They have like one or two reporters that are on the ground, right? And I'm watching this coverage, and it's like missile, like bombs drop in Ukraine, and this like obviously terrified reporter in like military gear, like bulletproof vest, is like talking, and like he's like shivering, like he's fucking scared, and like just giving a rundown of the situation there. And then like the video that was recommended beneath that video was like feminist versus non-feminist debate. And it was like YouTube accidentally made a meme, because it's like, it was just, for me, it was like I just saw that and I was like, wow, this to me is like just it showed, because like this is what some people are dealing with in the world, and this is what America is convincing ourselves that we have to deal with. It's like, so we're so disconnected from like the true fucking horror of life. Like we're
I don't get me wrong, I'm super like, I wouldn't want to be from anywhere else. I love America, but I understand why people fucking hate us. We're actually retarded.
Yeah,
we're actually retarded.
Yeah, because you look at situations like that, and then you look at the way that like American people are running around, but on both sides, by the way. It's mostly the left right now, but it's definitely on both sides, running around and acting like we're living under like some kind of totalitarian fucking whatever, or that the union's falling apart, or our democracy is just hanging on by a thread. And it's like, that's not what this looks like. Like that is not what that looks like. A country falling apart does not look like America. It looks like fucking Ukraine right now. And you could list off a whole bunch of other countries that also fit the description. And it's just like, I just wish we could like, I just wish we knew what we had. You know what I mean? And I'm saying this as an American who like, I haven't lived the hardest life in the world. I come from one of the poorest places, and I've had some hardships that a lot of people in America probably don't know about, but I still have not lived anything like what the Ukrainians are going through. You know what I mean? So like, I'm saying this as somebody who also doesn't know anything about the horror of the world, but like, at the very least, you should be like, we should be, as a country, we should just be fucking thankful. Like we really should be. Anyway, the country is replete with unthankful crybabies, both the left and the right, a bunch of fucking snowflakes. Which I was not gonna get like serious and political on this episode. I did not need to go there, but goddamn.
Well, that's again, don't say that, because this isn't political. This is an observation about like human nature and how we as Americans as a whole are acting right now, and it's not political.
Yeah.
We like to make everything political, but it's not. It's just I think we may be using it as an excuse that it's political, but it's really, we need a reality check. We need we need that friend that tells you how it is and tells you to shut the fuck up. So.
And I mean, I just hope that we can get our shit together before like the reality check is something serious, honestly.
But maybe
as safe as we are, we're not entirely vulnerable. Like, Like
maybe
there's a growing coalition of countries that would love to invade this fucking country. And I just hope we don't weaken ourselves to the point where that becomes like a possibility before we realize the stupidity of, of the paths that we've been pursuing.
as it stands right now, I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Because even though we are a country full of pussies, the boys are still one of the best militaries in the world. And just look at our allies. Like if you do, like let's play this. Let's play the World War III thought
Yeah, let's do the
experiment,
draft.
right? Yeah, let's do the draft and let's look at the rosters. Okay, Russia and China. Let's say they're on the team or whatever. We have USA, England, India, Japan, South Korea, Brazil, France, Germany. You go down the list, we have the biggest militaries. The numbers don't add up.
Yeah. Like China, and then China and Russia, they've got they might have Iran. They've definitely got Afghanistan.
They might have Pakistan.
Yeah, like they've got some African countries.
North Korea.
Like it's like the roster is still very much divided, But I mean, I don't know. I do worry about that changing because America's like really right now, America and the West in general is not giving its allies a lot of hope. I mean, Ukrainians right now, they probably feel left in the fucking dust. They're supposed to be allied with the West, and the West is like, I don't know what you want. We'll block their banks or whatever.
Well, guess who just announced this morning they're sending boots on the ground?
Who? Ooh, let me guess. It's not Turkey, is it?
No.
Okay. I mean, I know that like the United States and like Britain have, and like I think France have sent troops to countries around Ukraine, but not to Ukraine.
Yep. But guess who promised weapons and men? You're never gonna guess
it's gonna be something out of left field, like Switzerland.
Yeah, you're never gonna get. Well, obviously, history, so it's not Switzerland, but it's something out of left field.
Oh gosh, I need to pull up a map. There's so many countries in Europe. Is it India?
No, that's not
Japan.
a bad guess. That's not even that surprising. I feel like India actually has a really good military too. Because they're super powerhouse, super close allies with America and England. But it's Italy.
Okay.
Out of nowhere. Italy said, because I guess people are making the argument that they've been embarrassed by, their recent international conflicts. So they're eager to like prove they want to be on the winning team. So they're eager to prove themselves to like Western allies. But
hopefully that move shames everybody else into doing something. Because honestly, the fact that and I know that Putin made a threat and it sounded like the threat might have been implying nuclear war or whatever, but like we cannot bend over to a threat like that. We can't. We got to call his bluff.
And I don't think China is in on this with them. I don't think China fucks with it. So China,
you don't think so? Because they've been weirdly quiet.
They have been. I think they're going to side. I think they're going to see the writing on the wall, and they're going to side with America on this, and they're going to stay out of it. They're going to stay out of it. I think so.
Here's a question for you, and I don't know if you like know enough to really like have an opinion on this part, but like, do you think America should have troops on the ground?
I know
in Ukraine.
I know when I was in Orlando a couple weeks back, I talked to a Marine who was he was on leave from Okinawa in Japan, and he told me a bunch more boys were getting sent back with him when he was going back. He's like, usually, me and a group of like 20 guys go at a time, but he said there was going to be a couple hundred when he went back. So he said, I think whether they should or not, I don't know. But
Yeah.
we need to be prepared for sure. So send the boys close by in case anything happens.
It's a tough one. Like I've heard a lot of really compelling arguments for like both sides. You know, like I've heard some people say that like this is a European issue. America should like take like a back supporting role. Like we shouldn't have troops on the ground, but like maybe we should be sending resources. You know,
that's the problem. That's the problem. Like everything in the fucking European Union, they rely on America to do all the work in NATO.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah. I mean, I've also heard people like concerned that if American troops were on the ground directly fighting Russian troops, then that would like put us closer to nuclear war than we've been in a while. You know, and that to me seems like that's a genuine concern. I've also though heard like people express the perspective that like especially after Afghanistan, like America needs to remind everybody who's the biggest fish in the pond right now. Like we need to show strength and like, you know, we need to not allow Russia to like expand its borders, and we need to make it very known that like America was there, our troops were on the ground, making sure Russia couldn't expand its borders, like for the sake of like the way the rest of the world is viewing us right now, because there's a lot of places in the world that I'm sure are looking at China and looking at America and, you know, kind of get nervous, you know, because America keeps letting its allies get fucked up. And, you know, you can't build a reputation like that. So I don't know. I've heard really good arguments for both sides, honestly.
Sure, everything will completely change by this time next week, and we'll be talking about some because it's all happening so fast now.
Yeah, this is probably gonna be a quick conflict.
It's fucking war, you know. So everything's changing. So who knows? But we'll be here to cover it. That's why we're Asked to Knows. And this is a good up, man. This is a good up.
Yeah, this was a great up. I loved it. Everything, bro. Everything from World War III to Texas Chainsaw Massacre to the fucking Gaelic Holocaust. We're fucking historians, scholars, gentlemen, fucking sexists,
homophobic.
Yeah.
What do you think? World War Texas?
We said World War Texas?
World War Texas.
That sounds like the greatest title for like the best war movie, honestly. World War Texas, like put me in the theater seat for that shit. So yeah, we can call it World War Texas.
All right, dude. Since you know we only have our relationship anymore for clout, we won't talk after I end this episode. So it was great talking to you.
It was good talking to you, bud. I'm Ass.
I'm Nose.
Peace.
No, we gotta do what Nick does. So here, go ahead. Wait,
wait, what does Nick do?
I'm Ass. I'm Ass.
God, I'm Nose.
And I'm Leatherface.
And Nick's a sweaty butthole. And actually I should say Nick has giant balls. Giant, gargantuan tangerines.
And I'm slowly dying on the inside.
I'm doing it quicker. It's quick.